How did you get to New York City?
Well, I was born in Haiti, and then, my parents wanted dreams. They have dreams, things they want to accomplish. And then America was like the land of opportunity. And then so my pap moved here, and then after a few years, he bring us as well. And from there, learn how to speak English, and then moved to New York City. But yeah, it was like me looking for a better way to express myself, and I need an audience for my work. And New York City definitely have that.
Where in Haiti are you from?
Gonaïve. It's like I think a lot of people just know Port-au-Prince, which is like the capital.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think this is where if anything bad happened in Port-au-Prince, that means everything else bad happened in Haiti, which is like, it's not the same. It's not true.
What's your hometown like?
Oof. I sometimes I go to, when I'm in, because I was born in Gonaïve. I live there, but it's more like, it gives you the Caribbean vibes. I don't know how to describe that, but it's more like colorful nature. It's a lot of freedom. It's a complete freedom where it's like you don't have to worry about who's watching you, who's doing this, who's doing that. Because in America, it's like, you can't go outside not being filmed. Cameras everywhere, and it's like invading your privacy in a way. But in there, just like people make their own rules. So in the community that I live, it's like if somebody break the law, which means everybody have okay, don't do this, don't do that. Sometimes the people take control of that, and then it was like, oh, you did this, so therefore you can spend this amount of times in jail. Yeah, and yeah.
For the people that are listening to this that have never been to Haiti before, what are Haitian people like?
Resilient. There's a sense of pride within our history, where because we were the first Black nation to gain our independence. It sets. It kind of reminded other Black individuals that was enslaved at that time, well, there's a possibility that, we don't have to go through this. And Haiti was a place where if you're Black, if you're people of color, and you can go to Haiti, you're automatically a free man. And then so because of that, Haiti's constantly paying for how dare you? You know what I mean? How dare you? And then till today, we're still paying for it. Yeah.
Did you always know at some point you would want to get out of there and go to a larger, bigger city, a bigger country?
No, my parents wanted better. I think because I was like 14 when I left, so I wasn't really thinking about money and things like that. I was just having fun with my friends. But my parents wanted better dreams for me and my sister and my brothers. And then they bring us here, so I didn't really have any choice. Yeah.
Was it primarily wealth they wanted for you, or what were the dreams they had for you and your family?
The lack of opportunity. Because my brothers finished school, and then there's no jobs. So it's like, what's the point of going to school if at the end there is no results?
No outlet for it.
Yeah. So they moved here, and then, yeah.
Have you always been an artist? Was that there from the time you were a kid?
I will say so, but I didn't call myself an artist until I moved to New York City. But I've been drawing my whole life. Yeah. Because I think a lot of people think being an artist is if you know how to draw, that's all it took. If you know how to paint, that's all it took. To me, it's if you're willing to die for it, how bad do you really love this thing? And if you had the courage to go through a hardship and still creating, then I would say that, yeah, he's an artist. Because after I moved here, I know in advance that I was going to be homeless here. I know in advance that I don't have my family here. I'm going to be by myself all the time, but I came anyway. Yeah. And then after going through all of that, and I was like, yeah, I'm for sure an artist.
I want to get into that story. I know you told me before we started recording, you came from Haiti to Orlando, Florida, and moved from Orlando, Florida to New York. I'd love to talk about that transition of your decision to move from Orlando to New York and the knowledge you just had of what you just said of knowing you wouldn't have a place to live here.
Yeah, so I was doing okay. I was doing okay in Orlando. Been to museums, been to a few galleries. People started to recognize my work. But I feel like I needed more I didn't want to do the same thing constantly over and over and over, seeing the same people doing the same thing. And I was like, well, most people that purchase my work are in New York City. So let's go to New York City. So I told my parents that I'm going to go to New York. They thought like I was lying. It was, you know what I mean? They were like, yeah, right. Go. But I got one-way tickets. Come to New York City. I had a show at what is it called? Basquiat Battle. It was me and two other Haitian artists. We come together to have like a show. And then after the show, I was like, okay, cool. I'm here. Got to go to a hotel because I had a little bit of money with me at that time. And stayed at a hotel for a couple more days. Now my pocket was, looking at me, and I'm like, okay, something gotta. And I was like, okay, cool. I have to use my gifts in order to get money. So I go in the subway, paint, make money for hotel rooms. And there are days I don't have enough money for hotel rooms. So go and sleep on the J train. I used to paint on Lexington and 86th Street. So it's funny that my studio is in Lexington. So it was like very interesting. But yeah, it's a lot of crazy things happen. Nights I'm sleeping on the train. It's like I'm not really sleeping. I'm like daydreaming mostly. Because I have a lot of things I want to accomplish. I want people to see my work, see my worth. And times I applied to things and they was like, oh, your work is not good enough. And then that made me question whether or not I'm on the right path. And one of my collectors was like, yo, just keep doing what you're doing. Eventually the right people will eventually come your way and you'll find the right people. And yeah, throughout this, it was a very an experience for sure.
Yeah.
And I will definitely do it again. No doubt about it. And I feel like at that time I was creating every single day because I have to. Now it's like I feel like I'm getting a bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
I barely have time to be in the studio because I'm doing shows, doing this, doing that, bringing this, pick up that. But then I was like, well, today I have to create one piece. Going to 86th Street, I have like 5 paintings with me, carry them to 86th Street, go to Washington Square Park. That's where it started. And a lot of other artists was in the same position, but they were based in New York City. I'm like, yo, you got to do more than just selling work. You got to entertain people with your gift, do live painting. But yeah, it was a journey.
Do you remember roughly how much money you had when you decided to move from Orlando to New York?
I had I'll say $800.
Did you think to yourself, this is fucking insane to do this? I mean, you knew how expensive New York was.
Yeah, I knew how expensive. I've never been. That was my first time in New York City. So I've heard stories. I've watched movies about Brooklyn and it's tough out here. But I was like, yo, I have $800 and I want more in this life than just, the place I was in. It's a lack of opportunity for people that look like me. And I was like, definitely in New York City, if you can make it in New York City, you can. Yeah, and I wanted that challenge. And then I moved here, no hesitations, and just go through it.
You said you were creating every day.
Yeah.
When you first got here out of necessity, you had to. Were you doing most of that painting in a subway stop at the 86th Street stop, yes, or while you're riding the subway? I'd love to know the details of how you were doing that.
86th Street on the east side, go on the station. But before I'm gonna tell you how I happened to be in the station. I was painting at Washington Square Park.
Yeah.
And the police there were like, "Oh, you can't paint on a table. You can't paint on the floor," because I was putting my stuff on the floor and just paint. And then they say, you can't paint on the floor, you have to get a table. And I'm like, but I'm homeless. Where am I gonna where am I gonna put a table? I don't even have space for a table. And then they told me like I can't be here. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna go on a bench. You know what I mean? Like I went to the bench, started painting. They was like, oh, you're taking too much space. And I'm like, well, I can't get a table. I can't paint on the bench. Everywhere I go, police officers like, you can't do that. You can't. So I went somewhere that, away from those police officers, and that was in 86th Street. There were days where there was like they still go on 86th Street, and police officer was like, "Oh, you can't paint there." So I got out and paint outside in the streets in 86th Street. Yeah, this is that's how I end up in the station.
When you were doing those paintings, did you try to time it so you're doing live paintings while there's rush hour?
Absolutely,
a shitload of people coming in and out.
Absolutely. The first time it happens in Penn Station. I was going to Long Island. One of my collectors offered me a space there. I was gonna go there, and then I was like, oh, well, the train is not coming until like an hour or so. So that gave me some time to create something real quick before I get there. And then while I'm painting, I accidentally left my bag open. And then somebody passed by and dropped money in my bag. And I'm like, well, sir, you dropped money in my bag. He was like, nah, this is yours. I'm like, well, shit, let me get a bigger bag then. So next day, makes enough money that day, got me a bag, came back to that station and continued doing live painting. People were taking photos of it, share it, and yeah.
When you started doing the daily creations, were you very quickly able to sell some of those pieces? How does that happen?
So I paint fast.
Yeah.
I think internet will tell you that too. It's like I don't know how to explain. I have this urge to simply create, like put it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to. Somebody else will find it, beautiful. Somebody will find it beautiful, and I just let things out, letting emotions out, and sometimes I'm painting in the streets. Kids are passing by with their parents. They were like, "Mommy, look!" And then they stop. People in rush hour running to go to wherever, they stop. And then I'm like, well, there's a power within the work that I'm creating if it's allow people to stop even for a few seconds and reflect about life in general.
Yeah.
It was a lot of crazy shit happened, bro.
What happened? What is an example of a crazy thing that happened? I'm sure there are many.
In a subway station, because I'm homeless. There's a lot of other homeless individuals as well in the stations. There's a lot of crazy things, but there is a lot of beautiful things happen as well. Things people wouldn't really take the time to do so. But I've seen a lot of like people piecing in the open,
yeah,
and then expose themselves, and police officers running after them. I've seen people get arrested because they jumping the turnstiles. I was like, well, I'm like, look what the system make people do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But the beautiful part was there was one time I was creating, and then there's a homeless guy that sits on the stairs. He was asking for money, and then I finished paintings. I'm homeless as well, but I make some money that day for a hotel room. I give him $5 and then go to my hotel room and then come back the next day, same 86th Street. And then one time he just got up and then come to my where I was painting. I was creating a piece called The Elephant in the Room. And then the piece talked about a lot of political issues because I had a lot of ideas, but I didn't have space for all of that painting. So I put all in one canvas. And he came on my side. He told me his entire life of how he used to get a lot of money and a lot of friends, a lot of family members love him. But when he lost everything, all these people just gone. And then so he become homeless. And then I created a portrait of him. And then I put it at 8th Gallery in Harlem. It was very interesting to see how people travel all the way from Brooklyn to Harlem to see a painting. But wouldn't spend, I said, 30 seconds, just a conversation with those individuals. It changes my perspectives. Because I was homeless, it kind of like, be like, oh, if there are times, because I work like this on the street all the time.
Yeah.
Crazy outfit, brushes in my afro.
Yeah.
People just assume I'm just crazy. So when I first came, I didn't really understand it. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know uptown, downtown. We don't have train in Orlando. I'm like, I don't know what's what. So I'm asking people for direction. They were terrified of me, and I thought it was like, I thought it was like a, like, wow, this is racism is for real over here. And then after spending some time in the subway, I'm like, whoa, mental health is heavy, and people don't talk about it that much. We just, mind your business and keep on walking. But we don't really address certain elephant that's in the room, and that's that.
I don't know if anything stands out, but it sounds like you probably interacted with quite a few homeless people during that time in your life. What's a takeaway? What did you learn from those experiences of meeting all those people?
That not to take life too serious. It can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't think just because today is doing great that you can never see yourself within those positions, because none of them know that they were going to be homeless. They was like, well, that's never going to happen to me. Surprise. And you just got to learn how to deal with it and navigate wherever positions you're in life. And that's like, for sure, I take nothing for granted. I kind of like, it's hard for me to like see my accomplishment because of that. Whenever I accomplish something, I'm like, well, it's supposed to happen. Whenever things don't go my way, well, it's supposed to happen. So I'm just like creating just because I want to create. That's all I can control.
Yeah.
My ideas, my thoughts, put them on canvas and let the world see them. Yeah.
I want to go back to 2022, which I think is the year you said you moved here.
I moved to New York, yeah.
And you said you were homeless for 5 months?
Yeah.
When you were beginning to be able to sell some of your work, how much were you charging? I mean, how much were people giving you for those pieces?
So there are people who donate.
Yeah.
When I'm painting in the streets, they were like, well, I don't have money, but I have $5. They give me $5, PayPal, Zelle, whatever. There are paintings I sold for $20, $30. That was when I first came. I had like small pieces, selling those things for like little amount of money in the park. And then I moved to the station and I started selling them $100, $200. And then, when I have enough money for a hotel room, my prices increase. Yeah. It's not like the same price anymore, because that's all I need. I just need a place to sleep at night. And I was creating fast paintings. The most I sold in the streets was like $1,500.
Wow.
Painting, and I'm like, yo, I'm set. This is it. But yeah, it was like you never really know who you're gonna meet in the streets.
And people would come up to you and express an interest in what you were doing and offer a certain amount of money. How would you negotiate the price?
Based on how I feel. You know what I mean? Like, based on how I feel. There are times I need it. Because one, I'm selling, and then two, I'm entertaining. I'm creating, because I also bring other pieces with me. So when I'm painting one piece, people love what I'm creating. They donate money, put it on the floor. I had like this little easel. What is it called? I opened something on the floor. People drop money in there. I'm getting money that way, and people who love the work and see the passion within the work that I'm creating, they want to own something, and then they buy something $200. That's a plus. Yeah.
What was your favorite hotel to stay at? I don't know if you went to the same one all the time, but what did you? Where were you?
Interesting story about that. There's a hotel in what is it called? It's in East New York. It's off the L train. I forgot where. That hotel that I was staying, because it was like a cheap hotel. Yeah. But on the weekend, the price went crazy. Yeah, it was like, what? But there was a funny. I'm gonna get to the funny part, and then I'm gonna go to the serious one. The funny part, because I was getting money in the streets for like $1. And then I went to the hotel. I have so many singles on me. You know what I mean? It was like the guy was like, yeah, he was like, what do you do? I'm like, not a stripper, bro. So it's like, because like he told me, because I've been to that hotel so many times, that all he have is singles. That I can't bring singles in the hotel anymore. So when I make money in the streets, I go to the bank, deposit those money, and then withdraw them back again to give them like 520s, whatever. But that's like the funny part. The serious one, that hotel now it turns into like a homeless shelter. And that was fascinating. I was creating a documentary, and then the guy was like, show me the hotel. So I went to the hotel. It was like, this is the hotel. We create some film outside, and then now it's time for us to go back and to go inside the hotel. And then security stop us and be like, you can't film here. I'm like, why? Why is that? It was like, it's a homeless shelter, which was I started crying because time I was like trying to make money just to be in that space. And then not for it to be a homeless shelter. It's a blessing.
Do you remember the name of it?
I forgot the name. I have photos of it. I have tons of photos. I'll show it to you. I don't remember the name. I saw the ad on Instagram.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's how you learned about it.
Yeah. Saw it on Instagram and then just go there. I forgot the name of the streets.
In Brooklyn, though.
And yeah, it's in Brooklyn, East New York. That's the first place I heard a gunshot. I've heard music, the New York is tough, Brooklyn this, Brooklyn that. And then I moved to Brooklyn. I'm like, so many white folk. It's nice here. What are y'all talking about? It was like, gentrification is a thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, yeah. You
talked earlier about how you feel like you can call yourself an artist because you suffered. You struggled to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how clearly you remember this, but in the 5 months when you were homeless, are you freaking the fuck out? Are you like, this is just part of the journey? It wasn't that bad. How do you remember that time for you?
It's definitely part of a journey. Because I've listened to a lot of TED Talk. I've listened to a lot of motivational speakers. Yeah. Les Brown, Eric Thomas. It's like, you have to put yourself in a position to grow. And staying in Orlando, I was way too comfortable. I wasn't paying bills. I had my own studio. I wasn't, my art wasn't growing because I was comfortable. And then so it's like, okay, let's move to New York City. And because this is, where dream comes true. And I have bigger dreams than just being comfortable. And then so I had to come here.
So part of the point was the struggle.
Yeah. It's not like, I don't want people to think that you have to struggle to succeed. But if you look at the patterns in a lot of successful people, they've dealt with some shit.
Yeah.
And then some, if it were easy, everybody would do it. So within being here, I've been to like so many galleries to a point where it's tiring. When I first came to New York City, if somebody told me that, I would get mad. Like, it's just tired to be in galleries. All I wanted to do was being in galleries. Now I've been to like tons of galleries where it's like, I want more. You know what I mean? I don't want galleries anymore. I want museums. I want to, create sculpture and put it outside. And yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing story in retrospect because, like, we're in your studio right now. I just saw somebody pay you for a commissioned work.
Absolutely.
But, like, as you think back on that 5-month period when you're kind of in the crucible, like, you're being stretched, you're growing, do you have fond memories of that period of time?
I have a lot. It's not like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I was being tested. While being homeless was my struggle, I was dealing with that. I was dealing with so many other things that happened while being homeless. So it's like everything that I've dealt with is like trying to push me down. And all I had to do is just focus on the work, just create. There's that happening, being homeless happening, death threat was happening. The painting I told you about in 86th Street, somebody didn't like it, and the way they expressed their emotions with threats. I mean, like, when I see you, this is what I'm gonna do. While being homeless, I'm like, bro, I don't even have a place to sleep. You talk about, it was a lot of things happening. Lady called the police on me. I had a studio, and it was like a shared studio space. So that was like it was a rat race for me to be in the subway. It was subway hotels. There were some galleries calling me to exhibit my work, but I couldn't because I was in the rat race. I need money for a hotel and I have to be outside to make money. I couldn't do anything else. So I had to find a way to stop the going back and forth. So I applied for a 24-hour studio space where I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna apply and sleep in that studio late at night. I applied. I got in. I didn't have a private section. They put me in the hallway. I was paying like $200, $300, and I was in the space creating. A lady called the police on me, But before I get to that, she was like, the owners of the space was like, "Whoa, yo, I've noticed you have a lot of clothes in the basement." Hold on, watch this. She was like, "I noticed you had a lot of clothes in the basement." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a fashion." I make clothes, you know what I mean? Like, it's my art. Yeah, it was rough times, yo. It was like I was sleeping in the studio, which I wasn't allowed to sleep there. And then they had like a camera. They lost something. The bad part is they lost something in the studio, and I was the one in the studio late at night. So the camera didn't even turn on. And the only person that they could blame, it's me. And I had to, was like, yo, yeah, I was sleeping in the space, but I did not take anything. And then so they give me a warning. And because of that warning, it's like, well, back in the train again. So it was sleeping on the J train because the J train run through Bushwick and the studio space was in Bushwick. And then there were times we in the studio, the lady who stole things was like threatened, was talking mad shit. And then she called the cops while I'm painting. And I don't know what's going on. I told the owner, like, yo, make sure, go to the next door, look to see who came in the space that wasn't allowed to be in the space. Till today, I don't know what happened. But a lot of crazy things. But my purpose, I feel like it was to simply thrive through all those obstacles. And now it's like, after that, I've been to a lot of galleries. I've went to south of France for a residency, went to Amsterdam for a residency, went to Paris, create a piano for the Olympic, went to 4 months residency in South Korea. It was like a lot of blessings comes after that. And then from there, just making history.
I want to talk about your attitude. While you were talking earlier about motivational speeches that you listen to and TED Talks and when you're going through all the experiences of having the cops called on you, trying to sleep in a studio, getting kicked out, going back on the subway, hotel, back on the subway. Where's your head at that time? Are you thinking like this is
not
just
present?
This is part of the journey for me.
Yeah, definitely, it's part of the present. But my mindset wasn't. I wasn't present. I was more in the future.
Where you're heading?
Where I'm heading. Day I'm in the train. It's like I don't have places to go. I'm daydreaming about shows, about interviews, about commissions, doing things for the city, about like my work being everywhere. I was daydreaming. It's now I'm creating you see this subway piece?
Yeah.
I'm creating a series about my 5 months experience in New York City. So things I've seen, things I've experienced, I'm putting them on canvas. And then it's now that I have to mentally go back and feel all those emotions. And that's a tough one. Because back then I didn't allow myself to feel anything. I was more in the present. But now, because of my work, I have to go back and feel those things.
You were fighting at that time.
Yeah. Now it's like, because of that, I stopped painting. I stopped creating this piece because it was getting too heavy.
Too emotional.
Yeah, absolutely. I stopped creating it and paint something else. And slowly come back to it and add more.
I'd love to know what you would say to someone who might come across this interview that's in a similar situation to what you were in. They're homeless. They're trying to make it. They're an artist.
Yeah.
What would you say to a person like that? What helped you?
What helped me was I have a lot of confidence in the work that I'm creating. Even though there wasn't no spotlights on it, is because I genuinely love doing it. I could be in the studio and paint for free all day. I don't have to, you know what I mean? I love doing this. And you have to love it before you make it into a business. But because like there are days where I don't sell anything, months I don't sell anything. It doesn't bother me because I love the process. And keep creating. If you're an artist, you paint, you sing, you do this, you that, and you're dealing with homelessness, keep creating, regardless of the space. That's the thing. It's like I've met a lot of artists that are like too comfortable. That me, I came from another country, so I think people who are born here, they, you heard this story about like the fish who live in the water, and then, I came from another world. You know what I mean? Like I came from another world. They used to it so much that they don't even think about it. They don't even, like oxygen. We don't think about it all the time, but we're constantly doing it. For me, I came from another world, man. The things that there is here in terms of opportunities back home, nah. You know what I mean? So I take advantage and I work. Like the sacrifice that goes behind those colorful pieces, it's insane.
Yeah.
And people see it as talent, which when they do a little bit, I feel assaulted a little bit. You know what I mean? Like you have no idea. You know what I mean? You see the end results, but you don't know what goes into it, how many years it took to be here. It's a lot. And people don't want to go through that. They just want to shine.
They want the end result.
Right.
I want to fester on that idea a little bit of what, as someone who has come into this country, what you have seen Americans. It's one of the reasons why I love talking to immigrants. Mm-hmm. What do you notice about the artists? Maybe we can just talk about the artists you've met who are Americans. And you just spoke to this a little bit, but what you see in them that, I don't know that, and I don't want to lead you in your answer, but I think what I just heard you say is essentially that there's opportunity everywhere and people aren't taking advantage of it, at least coming from a place like where you did.
Absolutely. I did, like when I was in Haiti, I was drawing a lot. I wasn't thinking about money, nothing, but my parents were. And they had vision like, hey, this is not going to work out for us. We got to, go to another place. My dad came to America. I was with my mom in Haiti. My mom had to quit. My mom was a designer. She had to quit, making clothes just to put food on the table. So she went to cook and sell food on the streets, and make money. And then we were able to go to like private school. But like looking back at it, it was like, well, they sacrificed so much just so I could be here in America painting, making faces with colors on canvas. And then I feel like it's a responsibility, it's a big responsibility where you feel like my work is not I'm not creating for myself anymore. It's like there's a real dream that died just to bring me here. So the fact that I'm here, it's my responsibility as a son or brother or cousins to make them proud in a way. It's like, although they don't really quite understand it, and I understand why, because in Haiti, artists in Haiti are not getting paid that much.
Yeah. And
then, so there are collectors here that go to Haiti, buy art, bring it here, and make a fortune. And they resell it for a lot of money. It's because there is no market in Haiti for art.
Yeah.
And I come to America and people are selling banana and Art Basel, like you know what I mean, like for a lot of money. And it was like, that's insane. So there's definitely opportunity here, and I'm here to take advantage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm here to show my work and inspire and motivate. And if I had to go through homelessness to reach a goal that I have for myself, so be it. I'll do it again, no hesitation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm not going to say there isn't a fear of being in the same position. There's definitely a fear there, because I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. Because I went through it because I had this desire to accomplish something that is bigger than myself. If it was for myself, if I was creating for myself, I would have go back to Orlando. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want to go through that, but it's a bigger purpose, it's a bigger call. So
it sounded like you kind of needed it to grow as a human being.
Absolutely,
like it was sort of part of your path.
Yeah, diamonds and pressure.
Yeah,
it needed.
I want to talk about one last thing. I just want to say about what you're saying about the there's no guarantee even in a place like America that if you're an artist or pursuing anything, it will work. It will be successful. But at least there's a chance. You use the word market. Like at least there's a market for art.
Absolutely.
In a way that there really isn't in other parts of the world.
Absolutely. I would say if an artist, if you're creating for years and years, and you don't see any growth at all, find another way to express it. It could be the same thing, but a different medium. For example, if you paint flowers and you see you're not getting paid for flowers, use a different color. If you use blue, use red. If you use red, use this. If you use it, that, make sculpture. Find ways to express it. There's a market for everything. And eventually yours might not be as easy as making portraits. It could be making collage like Kate. Create your own thing. People love things that's unique. Know how to promote yourself, because a lot of people, I think, in terms of artists, they think galleries can sell their work better than them.
Yeah,
that's if that's you,
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, you should know how to sell yourself more than galleries. Like, I've been to a lot of galleries. I don't sell paintings in a lot of galleries. I sold my shit on my own. You know what I mean? And artists should be able to be independent. Know that this is what you love. This is your life. And if somebody can market it better than you, they'll definitely take advantage of you. And
embrace that side of the work, of that, like selling is part of the work as well.
Absolutely. A lot of it is part of the work. People think it's just making art. It was like, nah, networking, you gotta stop. Because like when I first started painting in Orlando, I thought like, oh, if I stay in the studio and paint, people are gonna notice my work. Not really. You can be in the studio and develop the skills, but for people to see it, you have to go outside and network.
Yeah.
Go to art shows, go to museums, meet people. All the people that go to museums love art. That's your market. Go there, meet those people, introduce yourself, show your work. Yeah.
Get after it.
Absolutely. Don't just wait on it. You just got to be hungry enough to go do it.
And I think in order to be able to do that, like you said, you have to really love it and believe in yourself. Absolutely. Otherwise, you're going to get crushed.
Because like there are days I don't sell. If I don't sell and I'm doing it for the money, I'm like, I got to pick a different career or something. But no, it's like I don't sell. Great. I sell something perfect. Either way, I'm good. You know, I have this confidence that everything will be all right, and eventually everything end up all right. You know what I mean? So it's a mindset. Confidence is definitely, because like to create a painting, not even a painting, to put a banana duct tape, put it on a wall. You know how much confidence it took? A lot of people think, oh, that's silly. Is it? Not a lot of people have that much confidence in themselves. You know what I mean? To create abstract paintings and put it in the world, and then knowing, oh, there's actually better work out there than mine, but I'm going to show it regardless. It's the confidence. And yeah. I love that. I love that. You have to love it. You have to have the confidence about your work and be proud of it. Yeah.
I want to talk about the moment when, after the 5 months of you being homeless, was there a sale that happened that in retrospect perpetually allowed you to have a place to live? How did you transition out of the subway into something more permanent? What happened?
After the studio incident, I was like, okay, cool. I need my own space. Sold some paintings, got a space. I used to work at Blake, at Union Square. I was like, because it was getting cold. Yeah. And I'm from Florida. You know, we don't deal with that kind of cold. And it's like, yo, I got to get my shit together. And got a job, got a 1-room apartment, turned it into a studio. I was sleeping on the couch. I put my clothes under the couch. And I invite collectors in, people I met on the streets. One guy who purchased a work from me, I met him in Times Square somewhere. Was walking with, I had a box, like a box. I painted on it. I was working, and then he just pulled over, and then he purchased that painting. It was like $500. It wasn't even much. And then he bought it from me on the spot. And he was like, what you doing after this? And I was getting ready to go to Orlando. And then I told him, like, well, I'm going to Orlando, but I'm coming back in a couple weeks. He was like, when you come back, let's have dinner. I was like, all right, great. Came back, hit him up. I was like, yeah, let's have dinner. Went, got something to eat. And then he was like, where's your studio? I was like, oh, it's in Crescent Streets in Brooklyn. And then after a few days, he came over. I had to make sure I put all my clothes under my couch, hide my shoes, because I want them to think it's a studio space, not a living space. They came over and they purchased like 7 paintings. It was like, some of them wasn't even ready. It was like, I want that. Give me a price right now. So I threw numbers. It was like, bet, let's do it. I was like, I should have go higher. Yeah, because it was like, nah, it was amazing. It was like I really needed that support, and it came at the right time. And then the other things, I applied for Art on the Ave. So Art on the Ave, they find empty spaces in New York City, and then they put an artist within that space. And then I applied to them, and they accept my work. I got accepted, and then I was exhibiting at Fulton Street, and the piece I had there was sold. And then Barbara Anderson is the founder of the Art on the Ave program. And I told Barbara my situations, and then she gave me a studio space at Fulton. And then from there, after 4 months, she gave me another studio space at we should call it the Oculus.
Yeah.
And then in there, I've sold so many paintings where I'm like, okay, cool. I don't need a job anymore. Because like before I quit, I was like, I told my boss, I was like, I need 2 weeks off, no pay. I just want 2 weeks off because I want to see how much money I could make in 2 weeks. And if my paycheck is, if my paycheck doesn't come close to it, then all right, cool, fine, I'm gonna keep working. I didn't even tell them. I was like, okay, I just need 2 weeks. They were like, okay, cool, take 2 weeks off. Within that 2 weeks, I was in the Oculus every day, painting, selling. I make more money in that 2 weeks than 7 months working at Blake.
Do you remember how much you made?
A lot.
Thousands and thousands?
A lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. And I was like, well... I know. It was like, I'm just gonna call them. I'm not gonna go. I'm just gonna call them. I called them. I told them like I won't be able to come back. They was like, yeah, we know. You know what I mean? Like we know, because like they know how passionate I am about my work. And they was like, yeah, you don't have to do a 2 weeks notice. Like we got you. And then I've been a full-time artist ever since.
That was Blink, you said? Is that Blink Fitness?
Blake Art. No, Blake.
Blake, okay.
The art store.
I see, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Pretty cool.
How did you end up here?
And
at this location, yeah.
So Art on the Ave, they connected me to La Maison de Beaumont in South of France. So I went there for the residency. And then while I was there, Sing for Hope. It's like a piano. I think I showed it to you earlier. Yeah. They were having their first international paintings in Paris, and I was in South of France. And then Barbara Anderson connected me to them, and then I was like, yeah, let's do it. Went to Paris, create the piano, and then Art on the Ave again was like, well, since you there, she have her son in Amsterdam. So let's go to Amsterdam for residency. Went there for 2 weeks. And then come to New York. She already gave me a studio space at 28 Liberty. 28 Liberty. And then it was me, Kate, and Gustavo. All three of us were in the space. It was a massive space. So after that, sold the space because the idea is to give artists studio spaces, but also like she found empty spaces in New York City. Like I've never seen a lady that worked so hard.
Really?
She's a hustler. You know what I mean? She was like, yo, we have art, a lot of empty spaces in New York City. So why not put art in those spaces? And the owner of those spaces most of the time agree, give her a space, and then she put artists within that space. So me and Kate would share 28 Liberty, and then they reach out to this space, and then they give us this one. Yeah, so it's like I've been with them for like 3 years. I will strongly like recommend them to every artist in New York City, because when I first came, I applied to a lot of residency program, and they all say, well, unfortunately, your work doesn't work with our programs. I know exactly what that means. And then I just, told Baba my story, and then she gave me a studio space. And then from there, that's all I needed. All I needed was a space to express, and yeah.
Do you feel comfortable at this point? I mean, purely financially,
absolutely.
Do you feel okay?
I am at peace. Now it's like me. I don't like when I was homeless, I was like every day checking. I don't even wanted to check my bank account because it was so stressful. I'm like, I don't need that kind of stress in my life, man. But no, now it's just like now I'm like at peace. I'm at comfortable. I come to the studio just because I have to create. Ideas I have to put them on canvas. I still have the same anger. It just not. Back then I was creating for money. Now I'm creating for ideas that I have, things I want to see that needs to be changed in the world, and put that on canvas. So I'm more at peace. Yeah.
I want to talk about Instagram with you, because I know you have a big Instagram following. Yeah. That's how I saw your work initially. Yeah. What role has that platform played in both your successes and failures? What do you think about Instagram in general for artists like yourself?
I think a lot of artists, want to show the good sides. Having a show, all the good stuff they want to show it. And I'm like, yeah, but if somebody wants to be like you, they have to know things that you've overcome, and the negative part as well. The criticism, share it, put that on Instagram. The good, put it on Instagram. But for me, I think because I was doing live paintings in the streets, and the most authentic compliments, the raw shit, people don't even tell me like, yo, your shit trash. You gotta, people in the street will tell you that. So I've connected to a lot of people based on the work that I'm creating, the message that I have, the things I've overcome. And I've been to a lot of exhibitions. I know how to promote myself, go to a gallery, and they reach out to me, exhibition there, and there. So I've met some people, and I'm pretty good.
How do you get most of your commissions these days? Is it people walking in the door? Is it messaging you on Instagram? How does that happen?
Yeah, sometimes I'm not open for commissions. That was like my last commission.
Okay.
When I'm open for commissions is when I need mental break from my own idea. I do take commissions because I don't want to think about my own work. I want to create like copy and paste.
Yeah.
I do that, but when I'm done with this, it's time to go back to work.
I'd love to, as we wind this conversation down, I would love to know what we touched on this a little bit ago, but for people that are struggling, before we get into that, I guess I would ask, like, do you feel like you're too comfortable now? Like, are you thinking about how you need to be pushed or grow in other ways, or do you feel like you're still you're still hustling. You still have that grind.
I still have the grind, but it's just moved with it's just a different purpose. Because it's in you. And then when I came to New York City, people was like, "Yo, New York City will turn you into a hustler." You know what I mean? Like, because there is so much to do, and everybody's you know the story about Michael Jackson and Prince.
No.
So it was like Michael Jackson used to wake up early in the morning, like 3 a.m, freaking out, gotta be in the studio because he feared the message will go to Prince, and Prince will put out that the music that he was thinking about, and then so it was like a very competitive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of my artist friends. We challenge each other all the time. Like, yeah, I see you doing great, but let's focus on. I don't want to see the pencil line underneath the painting. So fix that. So we kind of like encourage and discipline and help each other grow different ways. But when I came, it was all money. It's like I need to make money. I need to be in a place where I don't have to worry about money to create the ideas that I want to create. Because when I came, I wasn't really creating my idea. I was creating to entertain. I was making beautiful, beautiful stuff. Quick, like 30 minutes. Boom, done. Sell it. But then now it's like I've been working on that painting. Went on the subway for, I say, more than 9 months. So I'm taking my time to things that means a lot to me.
Yeah. You have more freedom, more autonomy to do your own work.
Absolutely.
I'd love to ask you what this city means to you, and by extension, what America means to you.
Yeah. So let's start with America first. Because I came from a black country, we dealt with racism completely different. And Haiti is more colorism. It's like, oh, you lighter, you darker. I will treat lighter skins better than darker skins. They get more opportunity. But moving to America, it's like, oh, you white, and then you black, and then a few in between. You know what I mean? It's like you either black or you white. You know what I mean? And it's. I feel like in America there's a sense of control. It's more about control. I don't like the. I think a lot of Americans feel that way too. The historical facts about this country is ugly, and all they want to do is put it under the carpet and then spray some cologne on it, and you know what I mean, like. But being Haitians and knowing my history, that's why Haitians are very prideful.
Yeah,
because we're very proud of what our ancestors did, and although we're paying for those price, because you know what I mean, we were the first black nation to get independence, and of course the world that owned slave at that time won't like that. And America was one of them, and the French was one of them. And yeah, I don't have like I just want like those who are empowered to actually do something to benefits their own people, not just white people, because like a lot of resources, there's like how do I say that? There's like there's levels to like, oh, who can I give this to, or who can get this job, or who can get this opportunity. Just make it available for everybody. But in America, if you like look like me, you're less likely. And that's what I didn't understand before I moved here. And so that means I have to work 10 times harder than the white artists. And you barely hear a person say, "Hi guys, my name is Bob. I'm a white artist." You know what I mean? You barely hear that. It was like, but why? Because a lot of time they were like, "Oh, is Naderson St Pierre a black artist?" I'm like, why do you have to say it? It's obvious. You know what I mean? You don't have to say black artist. Just say, I want to be an artist. But again, in America, the race, there's this urge to like divide, and it's always like that. Even poor white don't like black. You know what I mean? That are successful than them.
How do you feel like America has treated you in the years you've been here?
So there's two ways to look at it. I can look at it me myself individually, or I could look at it as a group. Individually, thank God for my parents. Parents came, they worked 9 to 5, give me a place to sleep. Went to college and had a 9 to 5 and doing good for myself. I was doing good enough to survive, but not good enough to where I could create like generational wealth So they were doing good enough and I was doing good enough. I think that's all they wanted, to do good enough. Because they know like, oh, it's impossible to reach a level of wealth in America. And especially when I told them I want to be an artist, you know what I mean? Because if you're from the Caribbean, you come to America for opportunity, you either be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. And then here I am, was like, Mom, I want to be an artist. I want to make faces with paints and stuff. It wasn't well received, but I feel like they understood.
Yeah.
But if I'm talking about in like as a group, disgusting. It's not. I've seen how, if let's just say police officers, not those who actually have power, just police officers, how they treat people that looks like me is ridiculous. And a lot of people just looking and do nothing and be like, oh, well, this is America. This is America. Like, yeah, but like, what are we going to do about it? Or we just going to accept that this is what it is? Or is that okay? Is that what, you know what I mean? But I don't even think there will ever be a good, like a change. I feel like those who are in power will always do things to be in power. And yeah.
I'd love to close with getting your, before we do that, the basically is like a double standard you've seen with the police specifically. Like,
absolutely.
What comes to mind? What have you seen?
The way, let's just say, a 7-year-old kid playing with a toy gun. There is no reason to be shot that many times. A kid. You fear of a kid with a toy gun. So there's a fear that I feel like people have against black folks. But if we're looking at history, we know who to be fear of. You know what I mean? But we don't look at it that way. We look at it like, oh, you poor, you capable of doing a lot of things. So therefore, I'm afraid of you based on what you're capable of doing.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, but I know what you're capable of doing as well. Yeah, there's definitely, I don't know. It's just a sad reality. I feel like even artists don't want to create shit that's political, because they're not creating to change. They're creating to make money. And I remember when I first started painting, for real, there was like, you can't paint about political, you can't paint about religions, you can't paint about genders. Like, those are like 3 sensitive topics you should not touch as an artist if you're trying to make money. You know what I mean? Because you want to make art for everybody. And I'm not making art for everybody.
Yeah.
I make art for those who are interested enough into what I have to say.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Last question I'd love to ask is about how you think about success for yourself. And we've covered a lot of ground in this conversation about your arc, but as you think into your future, and maybe you've already reached in your mind what you view as a successful life, a successful career. How do you think about that word for yourself?
I think a lot of people think success is when you have a lot of money in the bank.
Yeah.
That's how they count their blessing, I guess. But for me, it's the people that I'm able to connect with. this right here, this is success.
Yeah.
You came from a whole different world. I came from a whole different world. We here creating content. We here to talk about our purpose, missions, coming together as like, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
That is a success. Making art because I have an idea I've been sitting on for so long and I finally put it out. That's success. I don't look at success as how much money you have in the bank. I look at it as how many people were you able to connect it with throughout your timeline. If you're here just to make a lot of money and then you're dead and then people have no story to tell about you because all you care about was money, and then you're just sitting on a bank, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Dude, this is awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm honored.